Hi, Freddy. You thought you could hide. You can't hide from us. I don't know why you would score gizzards before cooking them. Probably why you score squid before you cook it. It's probably gonna make it easier for you to bite through it. It's a pretty tough, tendony kind of cut, so you know. Freddy, why don't you want to face the camera? You know that people love you. You purposefully not show them your face? Your cute little kitten face? Hmm? Hey? What's the reasoning behind that? You bring in the bucks. Say hi. Yes. One day these people will be our Patreons. You know, when we need treat money for you, Freddy. There we go. You heard treats? Yeah, work for your treats. Yeah. Congrats on your license and your car. Yes. I've discovered he really likes like a little gum massage from the outside. Probably because he has no teeth. You like this? Yes. I don't have a Patreon up, but maybe one day I will need to. It has been a while. I have a few life updates for you guys. Grandma's stitches healed. They were removed. She seems okay. She gave me a call at 7:30 p.m. tonight and said that her blood pressure was spiking. She insisted that it was above 300. I said, "Who told you that?" And she said, "I told me that." And I said, "Okay, Grandma." I walked over there and she said that her veins were popping out of her forehead and it was so painful. And I said, you know, how painless do you think death is going to be? Her blood pressure was actually 180 and it was because she was very agitated. Grandma basically has a nervous breakdown every time she has any sort of bodily discomfort because she thinks she's going to die or she thinks it's too painful for her to handle. So then, because she's going through a physical discomfort and pain, she freaks out if nobody responds to her ASAP right away. And obviously nobody is going to respond to her ASAP right away because we have like 1 or 2 nurses for the entire floor. And then she starts yelling, which spikes her blood pressure more, and starts panicking, which spikes it even more. So her oxygen level was at 97%, which is fine. Optimally, 99 or 100 is better, but you know, she's 94, keeping that in mind. Anyway, I can't stop going ASAP. She's my grandma. She's my responsibility now. My mom died. Mom's trying to take care of her. It's easier said than done. I appreciate the thought, but I can't stop going to her because it's going to make it very hard for the nurses. And I really would like to maintain a good relationship with the nurses there. And I want to show them that I'm involved, that I'm ready to respond and to translate and to be on scene if they need me there. And I got a call from the nurse telling me that Grandma was freaking out and he doesn't know why. So I went. It's just my choice. It might not always be the right choice, but it's my choice. But I appreciate you caring for me. I can't change Grandma. I can't change my situation. I can only work with it, and every moment that I have a decision to make, I make it. It's not always going to be the right one. I understand that. We just live based on mistakes and regrets. And Actually, one thing that I wanted to talk about, maybe I should start cleaning my kitchen sink though, because it's really gross. Medical people have not mentioned anxiety meds. I think it might be a little bit weird for her at her age, but I could mention it. They haven't though. Can she smoke a joint? Did I tell you the story of when Mom passed away? I decided to bring weed with me when I headed back to her house to start organizing through that shit show, and I got high like 2 nights in. And Grandma saw me smoking, and she was like, "What is this disease? Where did you pick up this habit of doing drugs?" And I was like, "Do you want to hit, Grandma?" And she was like, "Do I want to hit?" And she just lost her mind. That was funny. I laughed. I gave myself a little entertainment there. Aaron, how come I can never connect to the Wi-Fi now? This is so weird.
It could be that thing we talked about.
Yeah. That thing we talked about. This is Mom's under night shirt. You can see it's a little bit transparent. I probably should have worn something underneath, huh? But you can see my tattoos through it. I won't flash you. Just don't look too closely, okay? Brew her some weed tea. Delta 9 gummies, a little chocolate. She hates sweets. She's not gonna really eat it, you know? So, but good ideas. I'll keep listening to them. Honestly, doesn't feel right now. I don't think it's the right thing for Grandma. But noted. I would like some gummies though. Yeah, gummies sound great. Okay, so it has been a very long week, and I shall explain as I clean my kitchen sink, because it's getting really grimy inside. This is an onion. We're going to cut into it because I think it's rotting from the inside out. I see flies. It's not a good sign. So we're going to either compost it or what, I don't know. But yeah, we can make anxiety worse, y'all. It's happened to me a handful of times. Really depends on the weed, and it depends on my mind state at the time of getting high and, you know, circumstances. Drugs can help, but it's not always the answer. The Instant Pot is still there, you just don't see it. It's not currently in frame. I would never throw it out. Unless something terrible happened. When you're 94, just remember to chill out, Grandma, okay? If you live to be 94, please. I think you really have to start practicing early, though. Coming to terms with the idea that you will die. And it might not be easy. It might actually be painful. The longer you try to escape from the idea of mortality, the longer you will suffer and the harder you will suffer when you get older. sorry to break it to you. You're gonna get old and you're gonna die. Okay, so Godzilla Pie, funny that you say that. I've had a lot of HR issues this week. It's not really why I haven't gone live. I haven't gone live because I've actually had stuff to do on the weekends, which is good. I feel like parts of my life are getting back to normal, aka before the pandemic, even though it's still not normal and New York is having an outbreak of monkeypox, apparently really badly. I don't know, besides sex and physical contact, how it spreads. I don't think it does. I think you have to touch a surface or clothing or skin-to-skin contact or have sexual contact with someone who has it. But I have been going to the gym, and I'm a little bit worried about surfaces. I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out of living out of fear. It's been mentally exhausting to have to protect yourself from all the different possible sources of harm in the past 2 years of the pandemic. So I think part of me is just like, just go to the fucking gym. Just live your life. And if you get sick, well, tough luck, baby. Look at Fred. Hi, Fred. You really don't intend on showing the camera your face, huh? I actually disagree. You can't do any workout you need to at home. I've tried to do it for 2 years. My physical health suffered. My mental health suffered. It's just really unmotivating to do it at home. There's a reason why gyms exist. There's a reason why schools exist. There's a reason why offices exist. And what does it do to us to have all of those physical institutions taken away because of a pandemic? A lot. It does a lot. It does a lot. I don't have a rowing machine at home. I don't have an elliptical at home. I don't have dumbbells or barbells that exceed 40 pounds weight at home. I don't have proper workout benches. I don't have a pull-up machine that assists me. I don't have cables that I really like using. All of those things I cannot do at home. Sure, I can do push-ups and sit-ups and lunges for fucking ever, but I don't like it. I know I can modify, but I don't like it. Yeah, guys, I know burpees. You think I haven't done burpees in 2 years of pandemic at home exercises? But, you know, yeah, everyone is different. I'm not that into working out. I just like working out because it makes my body feel good and it makes my mental health feel good, and I've been a shit mess this entire pandemic. Not having that routine. It's been bad. misconception of injuries is people think if they don't use that, they won't injure it. Actually, not using certain body parts will worsen an injury because your body doesn't know how to move that part anymore. So that's why people go to physical therapy, because physical therapy enables you to move in a way that rehabilitates you. When you have an injury-prone body part, you actually need to exercise it so that you strengthen the ligaments and the muscles around the place of weakness so that it doesn't remain weak. The less you use it, the weaker it becomes. It basically has, like a, is the word dystrophy? The muscle basically gets weaker if you don't use it. Use it or lose it. Atrophy. There we go. Thank you. What do you want to talk about tonight, y'all? You tell me. Listen, I like yoga, but I don't like it as a form of exercise. Again, to each their own. You don't have to convince me there's a best exercise. I know there's a lot of good types of exercises, but the point is I'm not you and you're not me. I kind of just want to bring in, I just mopped the entire house. Erin swept, I mopped, I cleaned my bathtub. I was hoping to do more tonight, but I think I'm just very tuckered. So I'm going to bring in a sofa mat and we'll just sit and we'll chat. How's that sound? Yeah, I've seen the husbando ones. Not my thing. I don't like those calming videos. They don't really calm me. Not much does. Tell me what you think, Grace, materialism means. In what sense? In what sense is materialism? BRB. Can I sit here, Freddy? Can I sit here with you? How's that? Maybe over here so they can see both of us? There we go. How's that, guys? Do we like this? I like this. That's cute. Look at Freddy, look at me. Oh, Fred, why you gotta do that? Oh, this cat. This freaking cat. Yes. Go lurk in the shadows instead. Whatever. Have you bought any of your favorite foods lately? Apples? Yes. Peanut butter? Kind of. I've moved on to sunflower seed butter. I really like it. I enjoy it so much more than I like peanut butter now. There's something about the kind of sweet, bitter, dirt-like, oily quality that is just so satisfying for me. This I actually bought in Flushing a while ago. I thought I was going to cook it for myself. When Mom passed away, she had like 2 or 3 kabocha squashes at her house, and I ended up giving all of them away. Do I regret it? Yes. Was I going to cook it before they go bad? Probably not. So I gave them away, and people actually took them, and hopefully they used them. Mom used to have it in her house almost all the time when I visited. She would just always steam some. So I bought it because I wanted to, like, you know, live out some of Mom's old habits. I ended up not cooking it, but next week I might have to do like a pumpkin chili. So I'm probably going to use this as the pumpkin. We'll see. I'm always cooking for work. Anything good? Mostly cookies. Why isn't Julia going to try everything anymore? Because she's done so many seasons of it, and it's not working out for her personally anymore. She's tired of it, and so I hope everyone will respect her personal decision to take care of herself first. That show is not healthy for her in a lot of senses, and that's the last season. Deal with it. You can find other content. Oh yeah, if you had stale sunflower butter or any kind of butter that's stale, ugh. Yeah. All the power to Julia to do what works for her. We all have to make our own personal choices, and content is never ending. This is our world now. We just constantly make content. If I don't make it, you'll make it. If you don't make it, she'll make it. It just goes on and on. Everybody will be upset when change happens, but they'll deal with it because as humans, we are so adaptable. We need to stop being so easily hurt by things. I'm not sure. Never made my own sunflower seed butter. Probably a lot. I don't know. If you do it, let me know. Maybe I'll do it sometime, but it's not really worth it for me because the commercially sold sunflower seed butter is so smooth, and I don't think I can attain that at home. I also think that the content has to make the content creator happy too, but a lot of people just do whatever they need to do for the views and the clicks because that's what brings in the money, and then we're all in this hamster wheel of chasing money, right? Come back, Freddy. Yeah. Did you just have to pee or poop? Now you want to come back and join? Oh. Okay. Yes, hide. Yes. Hi, buddy. We have the AC blasting in the other room, and Fred's not enjoying the AC. He's just hanging out in the sweat sauna of the kitchen. I actually tried the Trader Joe's sunflower seed butter cups with dark chocolate. They were fine. I like sunflower seed butter alone better, honestly. I'm not moving houses yet, but if I find the right one, I will. I was just telling Julia today, Julia, Chelsea, and Leanna were here today because we were shooting a show in Jackson Heights, and they were dropping off some camera equipment, and they were checking out my apartment, and I was like, yeah, I tried to move last February, but now that Mom's dead, I've lost a lot of the motivation to actually move because this apartment we've been in for 5 years, and it's kind of like a holdover from when Mom was still alive. Sometimes if I slip myself into a physical state or location that I used to frequent before Mom died, I could enable myself to pretend for a few seconds that maybe she's still alive and she hasn't died.
It's both happy and sad. Um, it's both fulfilling and triggering at the same time.
Jason, did you like that?
One of my favorite fairy tales growing up was the Matchstick Girl. I don't know if any of you know of that tale, but basically she's a girl down on her luck, like homeless, poor, has nothing, and she just has a box of matches. Damn, I was a dark kid. Why would, out of all the fucking fairy tales, why would I pick that one? But anyway, I don't know. I think it was set like on Christmas Day or some sad holiday like that where it really sucks to be alone and penniless. I mean, it always sucks to be alone and penniless, but especially on a holiday. And she's stuck outside in the cold ass snow. And she has these matches. And the whole story is. Why is this making me so sad? The whole story is her striking one match at a time. And each lit match affords her a brief period of warmth, light in the darkness, and some sort of illusory, hallucinogenic kind of fantasy moment where she could either remember or make believe that she's in a better place than she is. And I'm not sure how it ends. I think we're led to believe that she's just going to freeze to death. But yeah, that was a very impactful story. I've never thought about it this way before, but I think having lived through the pandemic and having lived through all of our really stupid politics, it does feel like all of the hope that we try to give ourselves and each other and these actionable items that we make believe will help us get to a better place as a society are all kind of just little matches going off one flick. A little bit of hope and warmth, a little bit of light in the darkness. But that's it. So, it's been a couple of weeks since I've last gone live. I'm really exhausted. I've had a pretty turbulent week and a half at work. I basically am not happy with my manager at work. I feel like there is an enabling of incompetence, and I refuse my reality, which is never a smart thing to do. You can't fight reality, but I am, because I'm dumb. And I had a confrontational one-on-one with that manager, and now I have HR meetings. The HR meetings don't scare me. They annoy me. They anger me. They frustrate me. And they drive me fucking crazy. I have been told that they are not disciplinary meetings. That the objective of the meeting is to simply get to know me. Although I'm pretty sure living in the 21st century, for anyone working for a huge corporate HR department, they can very easily Google me and find my socials, on which I'm very outspoken. I know exactly what I think. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I do. It feels like a farce that I have to play through, because the meeting was not directed towards any subject for me to explore, but rather just to hear me out and listen to me talk about my experience at work. Which is, sinister to me. It's very trappy feeling. Let me say everything that's on my mind so they can collect all the stuff to use against me. So I speak up about inadequate leadership and inefficient management, and it is now a problem about my tone, my way of communication, my confrontational attitude, none of which I deny. My manager called me rude. I said, okay. I may be rude, but am I right? I think it is very immature to deflect my criticisms of work performance based on policing my tone. I can acknowledge that I'm rude, but you can also acknowledge that you're not good at your job. But instead of acknowledging that, it becomes ad hominem attacks. I'm rude. It's not my place to criticize. They don't have to listen to me lecture them because they're my manager. They've been very patient with me. So HR says that if I recognize the fact that I am confrontational and rude, then shouldn't I be taking steps to correct those traits? And I said, perhaps, but what are we doing about the initial issues that I brought up? And then the response is, well, I have to talk to other people to find out what their side of the story is. And I say, yes, please do. Do your job. I can always leave the job, but I have chosen not to. I can always choose to not visit Grandma, but I choose to visit her. These are choices that I am making, whether or not they be right. They are my choices as a 33-year-old to be. I don't need them, but I do want to be there to see our contract for the union through. It has been 3 years almost in the making. It will be one of my greatest contributions in my role to see a union contract take form, be signed into effect, potentially cause a riptide change through the industry that sucks souls out of everyone who works in it. I have the privilege of being able to leave and not starve immediately. So I can. I don't actually know if I can find another job in media given how outspoken I've been against my current employer. And that is by design. I'm both stupid and stubborn and goal-oriented. And I have been burning bridges for a reason. Because I have realized that this industry, especially in its current condition, is extremely toxic for me. And I don't want to leave myself roads to stay in the same circle of fuckery. So, if anyone still wants to employ me after knowing all of me and seeing all of me, by all means, I'm open to it. But they must know who I am, because I am not willing to contort myself and silence myself and prune myself to be pleasant.
I thought that was like a triple. That sounded a little weird.
There are many ways to make a living. I spent 4.5 years working in restaurants, working for basically minimum wage, and I managed to survive in a city like New York. I've done it before, I know I can do it again. I'm not as young as I was, but there will be opportunities to eke by in life. My grandmother has escaped war and famine. My parents have escaped political persecution. They've been immigrants in 2 different countries and have made it. I know I can too. And knowing your own bottom line, and knowing your own ability, and knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, just knowing yourself in general, is a very important asset to planning out who you want to cultivate yourself to be. Because that's what life is a series of choices that affect you slowly but surely, maybe invisibly, from a day-to-day perspective. But I took a poetry workshop when I was in college, and somebody, I think her name was Diana, wrote a poem that affected me so much. I don't remember it word for word, but it was a beautiful poem, and there was a couple of lines in it that said, "It's what you do every day that matters." And it's really stayed with me for over a decade now. I don't think I have a career path. And it used to give me existential anxiety, where I was in my 20s and I was like, fuck. I wanted to be an educator, that didn't work out. I wanted to be a social worker, that didn't out. I wanted to work in restaurants and be, I don't know, a chef, and that didn't work out because I was like, oh, hell no, I don't want to be a chef. So now I'm in food media, which I like, because it pulls together a lot of my previous experiences in terms of my appreciation of food, my eye for photography, my teaching skills and the way to explain things. In a way, this is the perfect industry for me. But it's kind of like maybe making it in Hollywood. You're like, oh, I want to be a star. And then you make it, and then maybe you're fucking miserable. And you get in with the wrong crowd, and you start taking drugs to live bearably okay with your existence. And then you OD, and then you fucking die. That happens all the time, right? They're stars. They're rich. They're famous. They should be happy, right? So why aren't they? I put in parentheses the title of this live, Amor Fati. This was an idea that I think maybe, was it Nietzsche who wrote about it? So Wikipedia says it's a Latin phrase that may be translated as love of fate or love of one's fate. It is used to describe an attitude in which one sees everything that happens in one's life, including suffering and loss, as good or at the very least necessary. Amor fati is often associated with what Friedrich Nietzsche called eternal recurrence, the idea that over an infinite period of time, everything recurs infinitely. From this, he developed a desire to be willing to live exactly the same life over and over for all eternity. Quote, long for nothing more fervently than this ultimate eternal confirmation and seal. How do you guys feel about this concept?
What are we looking at here?
I have been facing these
What are you writing about earlier?
random shower thoughts, even if I'm not in the shower. You know how those come on. You're just like not paying attention, not really being conscious of anything, and then you start kind of daydreaming and your brain just wanders and it poses a question to you, and then you actually start to zone in on it and start thinking about it seriously, and you're like, no, I wouldn't do that. And then you're like, oh, why wouldn't I? And the questions that have been occurring to me that make me take pause recently is, I've been having these thoughts of, if I could go back 3 years, before the pandemic ever happened, before mom died, would I want to relive those 3 years again just to see mom? And when mom had just died, I think the answer would have been 100% yes. But now the answer, after a few long, thought phrases, is no. And there's a lot of layers of feelings with that no. The first layer is, wow, you don't love mom enough. The second layer is, why not? Why wouldn't you want to go back and have her again? The third thought is, well, because the last 3 years have been kind of shit, like, why would I want to relive any of this again? The fourth layer is, just because those last 3 years have been shit, you don't want to have an opportunity to see mom again? The fifth layer is, you wouldn't do anything different to change the dynamics between you and her so that you end on a better note than arguing every time? The sixth layer is, but this is all imaginary. Like, this is not going to happen. Whether or not I wanted to, I can't get that time back. The seventh layer is, this happened for a reason. She was going to die anyway. Life was gonna suck eventually anyway. Why would you want to relive her death again by bringing her back? Why would you want to relive this nightmare? Why would you want to relive this hopelessness? Why would you want to relive seeing yourself get old and more depressed and sadder? You've already lived it. Don't subject yourself to it again. And don't think just because you're given a second chance that means that you're going to do anything better the second time around. After all, you are still you, aren't you? What makes you think you've changed? All thoughts are just thoughts. They're a means of processing your lived experience. I have learned to let the guilt that surrounds certain thoughts go. It is useless to hold on to a knife by its blade when you realize it's already cutting into you. It's not the way you're supposed to handle that knife. So then I live every day making choices, as we all do, fully recognizing that each of the choices I make have different consequences. There is no right or wrong choice. They all come with their own baggage and rewards. Some of them pay out in the long term, some of them in the short term, and some never do in the way that you want them to because you want too much and you are going off target seeking for it. I recently said to a friend, I live by my mistakes, and I think it's true. Mostly because our society has concocted a definition of mistake that makes us feel embarrassed, inadequate, and abusive to ourselves as a result. It has somehow become socialized to us that mistakes are not to be made, are not to be repeated, are not on some level acceptable. And if you do have mistakes happen to you, that you become a loser and unacceptable.
It would be fun to fight it, but
My favorite ice cream that I had recently is ube. I think they were doing a Halo Halo recipe shoot in the tower, and I visited that day, and there was a huge tub of purple ube ice cream, and it was fucking delicious. It tastes very similar to the pandan ice cream that I like to get from Chinatown Ice Cream Factory. I also like anything that tastes like a beverage, so coffee, Earl Grey, all of that good stuff that has a little bit of bitterness to it. Those are my favorite. Ube is like a purple yam. It's a very staple ingredient in Filipino cuisine, especially in desserts. It's very beautiful. Oh, I love sweet corn pops too. That was my favorite ice cream in China. they would have these corn ice cream popsicles on a stick where the ice cream is encased in this wafer shell that looks like a corn on the cob. Ingenious. So you bite through that wafer shell that has kind of softened with the packaging and the shipping and the ice cream's moisture, and it's like kind of got a soft give but still papery. And then you bite through that layer and you get that creamy, slightly tacky, chewy corn cream. And then you get to suck on the wooden stick that has all of those flavors afterwards. So good. So perfect. I haven't seen it in America, but if you know where I can get one of those in America, I'd be willing to pay a pretty dollar. Like maybe $10 even. Olive oil gelato. It's okay. I think it's a little overrated. I honestly like a fior di latte gelato with olive oil drizzled all over it with a little bit of salt on top. That's my favorite combo. I think olive oil ice cream can be a little overpowering. Thanks for the existential summary, LDR. Just buy a trip back to China. That's what I've been trying to do for Grandma. It's harder than you think. You can eat at Magnolia. I can't. I don't really count how much money I spend on groceries per week because I buy a lot of my groceries for work. So it's not really buying groceries for myself. It's buying groceries for the recipes and the videos that I have to develop and shoot that week. And then I just kind of eat them. So... Oh, I'm glad you like my Spotify playlists. Enjoy. Fior di latte means flower of the milk. It's just basically a plain cream or plain milk ice cream or gelato flavor. It's traditionally made with buffalo milk, I believe, but you can make it with any milk, basically. Salt and Straw has the most innovative flavors. I truly admire them for how experimental they can get. But my favorite go-to order at Salt and Straw is their honey lavender scoop with their chocolate brownie scoop. Put those two together. You're welcome. No new budget eats coming out. Can I make a slow cooker series? I actually gave my slow cooker away. So no. I do have the Instant Pot, which has a slow cooker function. I feel like you can easily Google that, Vera. I feel like everybody's made some sort of series by now, and if you just need recipes, they exist somewhere on the internet. I don't gotta do it. There's the whole internet is overwhelming. It's like overly saturated with all this content. I've not been to Dominique Ansel in New York. I've had a Corona in Tokyo. Overrated. Not worth it. Whatever. I don't give a shit with those fancy desserts. Favorite smell is definitely donuts and freshly cooked rice and popcorn. Mom used to love the smell of coffee. It used to intoxicate her, but she did not like drinking it. You hate cooking. That's why you don't cook. You just leave it to someone else to do. Oh, by the way, my ear is really infected, so I need to put some saline solution on it. So let's make myself some salt water. I just touched my hair and then I was like, fuck, that hurt. Why did that hurt? It's because my ear is infected. It's really gross, guys. I don't recommend piercing your ears if you know it's going to get infected, which I did because I'm stupid, once again. I just keep doing stupid stuff. Maybe I've just reached that point in my life where I can only make stupid choices in life now. Can I ask a personal question of you? And whoever wants to share can share. If you don't want to share, you don't have to share. But can you tell me what the longest enduring crush you've ever had is?
I'm very curious.
Okay, I was,
And the more details you can offer up, no pressure, the juicier it is for us to consume, obviously.
okay.
Thank you, Jasmine, for getting rid of those trolololos. My favorite gift that I've ever received is a spork that Aaron gave me. Holy shit, you've had a crush for 10 years? God damn. That's a long time. Did you ever tell them? You don't know the spork? I guess you've never seen Budgie Eats. It's the purple spork. Wow, that's intense. 10th grade, 27, 37, still missing them. That's intense. Thank you for sharing, though. It's fascinating. So, for the people who have had crushes for that long, have you ever told your crush? Or has it just been voluntarily unrequited? Have you ever just said, fuck it? Let me profess my love. Laura has a happy ending. Yeah, I do feel bad that sometimes I'm like harassing people. I don't want to do that. And the nice people never speak up. Oh my gosh. Somebody told you they have a crush on you for 10 years. How do you respond? This is so juicy. Look at us. Sharing our deepest, darkest secrets like at a sleepover with fruit flies. Oh, my ears are definitely allergic to metal, but my piercer told me that it doesn't matter because this shouldn't be allergenic. Sucks to suck. I haven't cut my hair since the last time you guys saw it. This is just the natural length that it is now. Karen, that's dark. That is a dark tale. Damn. Somebody, not to make light of your situation, but that is like a movie-worthy plot. That sounds very traumatic. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It is not your fault, though. It is not your fault. We are adults. We make our own decisions. Things happen to us and we process it in our own way, and you are responsible for
for no one else, and sometimes you're not even responsible for yourself. Everybody has all these sad love stories, y'all. Aww. Wow, can't stop reading our comments. So interesting. Yeah, I think I think my ear is forming a keloid, unfortunately. I should have known. This ear really didn't want to get pierced. It closed up in college when I got it pierced. But sucks to suck. Not everybody is the same. I cannot imagine being a CEO, and I do not want to. Ever. I don't want to be a boss. Being a boss is a cop. I don't want to be a cop. I already have enough trouble being my own cop. Soak your ear in hot water and chamomile. Okay. I shall do what the internet tells me to because the internet is sometimes wise. Oh, that's too much water. Ooh. That's nice. That's like a little earlobe bath. It's a little too hot though. Oh, that feels good. I think being a boss is being a cop. We can agree to disagree. You can be a good cop though. Not all cops are bad, but they're still a cop. Let's hope I don't need an MRI. Oh, interesting. Cocoa butter stick. Why cocoa butter stick? Huh. Yeah, it is a lot of responsibility and I don't want it in my life, you know? It's too tiring. I can be a good person if I want to be, but I will burn out. That's basically what my mom was. I don't want to live like her. I learned to not live like her. So I want to hear from the folks who identify on the ACE spectrum, actually, because I do too. What are your issues and thought processes in terms of
analyzing and understanding your crushes, right? Because I do understand that whole, like, do I like them as a friend or as a partner? And then you have the whole, like, aromantic aces, too. I'm not aromantic, but I do identify on the asexual spectrum. So I don't think there's a lot of conversations happening, at least as far as I know, regarding ace experiences, because we're just not that visible, because, like, well, if you're not really sexually attracted to people, then you don't talk about it, right? See, the emotional aspect is the most intriguing part of a relationship for me. Like, I can't have a relationship or any kind of, as a demisexual, I can't have any sort of sexual relationship with anyone if I don't have an emotional relationship with them. So it's fascinating how differently people process these relationships. Vera, I would say that there are different reasons for why people are asexual, just as how there are different reasons for why people are any sexual orientation, but I don't think that's always the case. I think it could be biological, it could be sociological, it could be trauma-based, it could be any and none of those. I think different folks exhibit different sexual orientations for different reasons. I'm not saying that I'm not a stressed person, and I'm not saying that I've definitely found compatible partners, but, you know, like, what is the right compatible partner? That's a very specific and yet still vague term. Freddy, you need a greenie? Jasmine's looking out for you. She said you need a greenie. Do you want to have a little greenie treat? Do you want to have some treat water? I'll get you some treat water. Eat. Ace means asexual. It's just like a shortened term for asexual people. Treat water is a couple of tablespoons of water with a few sprinkling of crushed greenies treats in it, so that Freddy can both enjoy his treats without having to not be able to chew them with his 3 remaining teeth, which are apparently not in very great shape, and also get hydrated because he's starting to get old cat kidney syndrome, which just means that his kidneys aren't doing so great anymore. So it's a win-win for us and Fred. He gets treats, he gets water, he doesn't have to chew very hard.
He is eating kanji. That's hilarious. I've never heard of neobium earrings. I'm afraid to take out my earrings right now because that might mean it just closes up because it's still very infected and irritated. Freddy likes catnip sometimes, not all the time. I think he likes the really fresh stuff. He does go a little cray-cray. Pansexual and asexual. Very interesting combo. How does that work? Yeah, I do have a desire for cuddling, not so much for sex. That is true. I can identify with that. Also, kissing grosses me out. It just feels wrong. Yeah, good job, Freddy. Did you drink all the water? It is not at all difficult for me to be emotionally available. I think if you've ever DM'd me on Instagram, you know that I make myself very available, probably more than I should because it burns me out. I don't have a lot of barriers to expression. If you watch these lives, I feel like you have an idea of that. But I'm not easily one who takes on a friend. I'm not the type of person who wants that many friends in her life because friends are a responsibility. I have to be able to, on some level, love someone to be a friend to them. I have to be able to want to sacrifice parts of myself and my life to service them if I consider them to be a friend. So when people say, "Can I be your friend?" I'm like, what do you think friendship means? It's not that easy to just be someone's friend. I can be friendly to you, I can talk to you, but that doesn't mean that just because I'm holding a conversation with you that we're friends, you know? You know? We did a lot of things in our relationship to deal with the sexual incompatibility. It's been a learning experience while we were in a relationship of how to deal with that discrepancy. Jesus Christ, we have so much spam tonight. It's evolved. I've mentioned it on previous lives. You have to communicate. You have to be able to talk to each other. It's not always easy. Not anyone in the relationship knows what they're signing up for when they go into the relationship. Not everyone knows how the other person is changing or even how they themselves are changing. So you have to be in constant communication. Any relationship requires trust, respect, and communication constantly because people change and you never get to know everything of someone, including yourself. It becomes even harder to communicate in a relationship that is less standard and more fringe, if you will, because there's less of a societal playbook and fewer set expectations for how those less common relationships work. So you have to do even more work to lay down the groundwork of what are we doing here. There is a lot of things to take into consideration, and every couple is different. A lot of people send me their cats watching the lives. I'm fine with those. I enjoy watching cats watching me. We're currently sharing an apartment because it's not very practical to move right now. The inventory is super low in New York. There's not a lot of units available. We also have the shared responsibility of Fred. We're here for a lot of different practical reasons. We're also still very much friends. We take care of each other, just in non-romantic ways. We share the responsibilities of day-to-day life. For example, we share chores. Tomorrow we'll do laundry together. Today he swept, I mopped. You know, it's just like, it's much easier to maintain an apartment when you're not on your own. So there's a lot of factors that go into these decisions, and it's not like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I want to be alone, so I'm going to be alone. There's other things to take into consideration. It's not, like I said, the grass may be greener on the other side, but that grass will also die in the winter and not be green anymore. A year has seasons. It's not always going to be summer. I would just ask you to not make assumptions about the dynamics of our relationship, because we haven't shared everything about the relationship that we had. It's very easy to make judgment calls on our characters and who we are just by what you assume to be the circumstances and details of our dynamic, but you probably don't know all the nitty-gritty stuff, because I probably haven't told you what happened in the last 10 to 11 years of us having known each other. So we all have our flaws and we all have our highlights, and you know, Kareth asks, June, is intimacy uncomfortable to you? Define intimacy. That word is too vague. And then Cynthia says, if I ever said no to sex with my former partner, he would be angry. In modern day understanding, that is very abusive. So I would not put up with that behavior at all. Because that sounds rapey. And I hope you got out of that situation safely, because not everybody does. Yeah, self-awareness is necessary for communication and honesty. That is a tough part. I totally agree, K-Clock. Have you ever been so deeply involved that it doesn't feel right without that person? I feel like I've been heartbroken that it doesn't feel right without that person. Like, probably with the death of my mom is the first time that I felt like it doesn't feel right without her. It's very interesting with the passing of my mom, how my understanding of what love has changed. Like, there was this very perverse period where I was like, is this incestuous? Because I was listening to all these love songs. And obviously they're meant to be like romantic love songs, you know, and they talk about all of this like missing and longing. But in the period right after mom died, in the deepest waters of my grief, I was like, this applies to my mindset right now. So love is very interesting. Losing mom has hurt me more than I realize, and more than I've ever experienced elsewhere. It is a fundamental loss. It is the loss of my source, my soul, in a way. It's like losing my origin. I think this live is a form of intimacy. I have no problem being intimate with words and thoughts and feelings and emotions and sharing my selfhood. Do I have issues with physical intimacy? Yeah, as an asexual and demisexual identifying person, it is difficult for me because I don't really communicate my intimate self in that method readily with other people. It feels very unnatural to me. I've described it to other people that being asexual / demisexual means for me that sexual intimacy is a foreign language that I don't understand and that I can't speak through, so I can't communicate through it. I've learned through experience that if I change my perspective on what sex is, it sometimes becomes lighter because I can almost view it as this awkward comedy of sorts because I am so awkward in those situations that like there's no other way to look at it but comedy. So that's my experience. I'm not speaking for all demisexuals. But the pressure to have sex is real. Our society has, I think with the younger generations, it's become easier for us to be like, no is no, you have to be consensual in order to have sex, and otherwise it's rapey. So don't do that. But I think for a very long time, our society prioritized women saying yes, even if they didn't feel like saying yes, because it was somehow their duty as the woman to say yes, even if they didn't want sex. And so it has taken us a long time to shed, or to at least begin shedding, that role of the sexual provider. It is very gendered too, not to say that like men can't be raped. They can. Anyone can be a victim to the rape culture. But it's difficult when you don't even realize that you are playing in a rape culture, because you just assume that this dynamic is natural and normal, and you're the one being abnormal by saying, hey, can I opt out? And then you feel immense guilt for not living up to that role. And this is me speaking from personal experience, feeling like I had to hold up my end of the bargain in a way, like I had signed myself up to be in this position, and so I should. And that, I think, built up over time into a intense discomfort with myself, like anger within myself, against myself, of being like, how could you let this happen to yourself? Why can't you understand yourself better? It took a long time for me to understand that. It feels like rebellion, but a lot of the time, rebellion is just standing up for what you need that others have denied you. I've cuddled with one woman. I did not enjoy it. That's to T Park's question. I wish I were bi, though. It would be glorious to have more options. Although I will say, when I was on Tinder and I tried to date women, they were very flaky. Like, everyone on Tinder is kind of flaky, but at least most of the men that I invited out to dates came to the dates. I would say over half of the women that I invited onto dates would like cancel the day of. And they would always express like very deep apologies for canceling on me. But they would nonetheless cancel for one reason or another. And I was just like, Back for dating talk? What are croissant dates? Oh, flaky. Ha! That's a good one. I'm gonna start calling them croissant dates. I mean, the Tinder I'm talking about is like 5 years ago to 4 years ago. I think the Tinder now is a very different landscape. I think everybody uses Hinge now. Is that right? I feel like a grandma right now. Please don't categorize women as flaky. The women on Tinder were flaky. I'm doing it because in my experience they were. I'm not categorizing all women as flaky. I'm just saying the women that I asked out on dates on Tinder 4 or 5 years ago were flaky. I can say that. I think my ability to speak relatively transparently in a public setting is one, stupid, but also something that I pride myself in because I think it is cultivating me to be a person who has nothing to hide. And when you have nothing to hide, you have fewer fears. And when you have fewer fears, you feel a little bit freed. I think, ironically, our culture of self-possession has turned us into commodities. And in order to decommoditize myself, I must give myself freely, which is a way of disowning myself, which is to say I have no self, and I can deconstruct myself at any time because I have not held on to a singular idea of who I am by not hoarding parts of my personality away from the public eye. How do I dispossess myself so that I can free myself? It's kind of a paradox, but I think it's been working out for me. Unless I'm just lying to myself the entire time and actually I'm just in a lot of trouble. That's also possible. We just don't know the truth. Thank you for promising me that you would show up to a date if you were to go on one with me. I appreciate the promised commitment. I have never heard of Lex, actually. For me, it is not difficult to live together, but not have the same relationship. I'm not going to speak for Aaron or Fred. I feel like Freddy has a very interesting life. Wasabi Peas says, this conversation has been hard for me to follow, stoned. Well, who told you to go do that? That sounds like a good idea, though. I think I will do that tonight, too. You must go with the flow unless you really want to break something in yourself, you know? You fight the current and you will get injured. You can do it, it's just not very wise to do it. My God, we don't want Bitcoins. Go away. Ay, ay, ay. Jasmine is on it, though. Fast fingers. I didn't take my vitamins today, but I was kind of out in the sun all day, so I don't take my vitamin Ds when I'm out. Do you guys always take your vitamin Ds, despite? But anyway, amor fati. Very interesting concept, I think. Would I choose to live all over again with all the same mistakes and choices? I have no problem just letting the past lie in the past. I don't want to relive anything anymore. I'm too tired for that shit. Oh my gosh, every time mom's friends who are Christian tells me that they'll see mom again in heaven, and I will too, I'm just like, can we not have an afterlife? I'm just really exhausted. One life is good enough. I remember back to all the times when I went to church as a kid and they were like, and God will give you everlasting life. And thinking back to that, that is a nightmare. I do not want everlasting life. Who the fuck wants everlasting life? And like, they promise you that if you go to heaven, your everlasting life will be eternally happy and positive. I'm just like, that's a lie. That's a goddamn lie. One, no such thing exists as far as I know, but I'm just a human and I know God knows better, so, you know, we can't explain God's mysteries from a human standpoint. But two, have you ever thought about it logically that if everything is good all the time, that it will cease to be good all the time? Because the definition of good is purely by the contrast against bad? How do you even have the gauge of good if you do not have bad? It will just be plateau. How do you experience the good without the concept of a bad existence? I don't want that. Am I gonna get sent to hell now? I don't know, maybe. Out of my control though. If God is the type of God that punishes me for doing some thinking, he's not a very interesting God. If he really did make me, I think he would appreciate the way my brain spins and like give me extra credit or some kind of discount. But, you know, I guess we'll see if God has a sense of humor when the time comes. Yes, evil, hell, devil, God is a Christian concept. I was brought up in Christianity for the most part in my childhood, so, you know, obviously a lot of my understanding of religion is from a Christian perspective. Yeah, LDR, is this your first time being a part of the live chat process? The conversations do not have a topic. I mean, they do. And then they have other topics. And then, you know, there's still 299 of you as far as I can see. So, something of the chaos is attractive to you. Really? Oh, let's talk about religion some more then. I want to see those numbers drop like flies. I love seeing what people's trigger points are. The things that they can't tolerate me speaking on. Those are the things that we need to speak more on, because those are the things that create fear for some reason. Sacrilege. Sin. Consequences and punishment. What are we afraid of? I recently posted an exchange that I had with my friend after he learned that I had been called into HR meetings, and he was just checking in on me, and he was like, so what's going on? How are you doing? I made an Instagram post. It has, I think, 2,000 likes now, because people are identifying with that inane process of HR. And one person said, I really don't think you should be posting this shit if it's still your current employer. And I said, why not? And she said, you know, I totally see your point. I support you, but like litigation possibly. And I was like, I understand that completely. But I cannot continue to exist under a culture of fear. It's not the way that I want to live my life. If somehow I say something on social media and HR decides that's enough to sue me on, then I would be curious why in a country that supposedly has freedom of speech that we're not allowed to say shit. Why we have things like NDAs. Why we have things like gag orders. What are we so afraid of? Why do we hide the truth? Why do we punish whistleblowers? Why is our society made up of just pure bullshit that we construct for ourselves, and then we tell everyone, you can't tell other people that this is bullshit, because then I will destroy you? Good. Destroy it. If you make bullshit and you live your lives around bullshit, then you are bullshit. So it shouldn't hurt very much then to deconstruct that. There's nothing inside. Money is bullshit. Money is the most bullshit. I actually don't like Rina Sawayama. Is that how you say her last name? I don't like her music. I don't think she has good vocals. She's fun. Not my music. You know what hurts the brand and costs money is them spending millions of dollars on anti-union lawyers for 3 years. They're not really smart about protecting their profits if that's what they're spending their money on. Everything is so commercially warped. I used to think that working in food media means that you're putting out pretty pictures of food and making people want to make food, but actually food media is just about selling ads. Like every other industry. We all have to sell something. Our lives revolve around money. And then people don't know what the fuck they want to do with their money when they have so much. It's like, oh, I'm so full of bullshit. I have nothing in my brain anymore. And my computer just died. Yeah. Okay. You want to feed him?
No, you can't.
I can end the live by midnight.
You can feed him at midnight, when he has it.
So you just want me to feed Fred?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Freddy, I'm gonna feed you at midnight. How do you feel about that? Because Aaron doesn't want to feed you. Because he doesn't want responsibilities. What a cutie. Murderbot. I don't really read anymore, unfortunately. In my old age, I can't stay awake. Freddy, you want to play with string? Shishito peppers are usually just kind of flash fried in a very hot skillet until they blister a little bit, seasoned very simply with salt. But you can obviously cook them however you want. Some of them are spicy, some of them are not. It's kind of like a lottery. Luck of the draw. Hi, Texas. We would never abandon Fred, obviously. I don't visit the Discord, no. I tried to give you guys a space where I'm not there. And now he had. You hiding, buddy? You don't want to hunt no more? You tired? Oh, okay. Alright. Aaron doesn't really want to cook on camera anymore. He's tired of y'all. I'm just joking. He's just tired in general. We all are. It's much more energy sucking, I think, for him to participate on the lives than it is for me. It's kind of relaxing for me. The best 3 things that make you happy in life, what are they? Ah, that's an interesting question. I don't know if I have something that I can whip up that fast. 3 things. 3 things? Like specific things or general categories of things? I think expression in any form, talking, writing, thinking, those are very fulfilling to me. Which is why in any relationship that I hold dear to me, I need to have all of those things. I need to be able to express to someone and have them at least understand me most of the time. And for them to express back to me. I think company, so that would include Fred. Any sort of company, because you can express something as much as you want, but if you don't have an audience, then you are in some ways not really quite heard in the way that you might want to be heard. So expression, companionship, and I think I have to say experimentation, which obviously includes trying new food, duh. But experimentation falls under a broad category of just trying new things in life, because if you don't try new things, then in a sense you have already died. So even though it may be uncomfortable, I love trying new things. Obviously you can stay with low stakes experimentation in terms of trying new food, or you can try new life experiences, new types of relationships, expressing yourself in different ways, looking at yourself in different ways, understanding yourself in different ways. The intersection of expression, companionship, and experimentation is a perfect relationship, I think. Freddy, are you hungry, buddy? Yeah, he looks hungry. Let's feed Fred a little bit early, shall we? Do you want to eat? Do you want to eat, Freddy? Yeah, I'm pretty free with Aaron. That's why we've been together for so long. back so fast when you heard that scale. I'm sleepy, Fred. You sleepy? Here's the spork we were talking about. You want me to warm it up, buddy? Shall we warm it up? Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. But you know I'm early, right? Okay. Enjoy. Here's one for Mom. Here's water if you want any, Freddy.
Wow, Freddy is so hungry tonight. Hungry boy. So fast. Yeah, you done? That's it? Is it time to do the licks? Is it time to do the grooms? Y'all, thank you so much for joining tonight. I hope you liked my ramblings, and yes, I am indeed alive. Thank you for watching Fred be Fred, and you know, yada yada yada. Stay alive, stay as not miserable as possible, eat some good things while you can still afford it. Soon we will just all die of high temperatures and starvation like all the fucking sci-fi novels and movies we've ever read and seen, and turns out we predicted our future all along and we just didn't do anything about it. Self-fulfilling prophecy, Oedipus, yada yada yada. Drink water, okay? Sleep well.